Hi everybody, welcome to Colette's Thermo Kitchen. My name is Colette Matriga. I'm a Thermomix consultant here in Australia, and no matter where you are in Australia, if you're thinking of getting one of these mighty TM6s from Thermomix, please reach out. I'd love to support you and look after you on your journey. Now tonight we are going to be making a Pavlova. I have to apologise, I might be coughing a little bit, I'm not 100%, a bit croaky as well. Maybe Andrew, you can take over. Okay, so Pavlova, Christmas coming, it's just such an icon. It's something that we should all have and have a go at making, and the Thermomix does make it super easy. However, I have to put a little exception clause on this, because today it is one of the worst days to ever make a Pavlova. And in fact, in normal circumstances, I would not be making a Pavlova today.
An exception clause? Are they related to Santa Claus?
Very funny, Andrew. Because just like macarons, humidity is a big troublemaker. And
well, why didn't you turn the aircon on first?
I didn't think of that, actually. I should have done that. Humidity is a big inhibitor, and it's been raining, so any moisture in the air is really going to impact on your Thermomix. So as Andrew said, if it's a day that's very humid, like today, put on the aircon, and that's going to help dry out the actual environment. So whenever you're making a Pavlova, never ever boil water, run hot water in a tap beside your Thermomix, because what you're doing is you're introducing more moisture into the air. So just remember that. But let's crack on and make this lovely Pavlova. So, pretty straightforward really, not many steps. First thing I'm going to do in this Thermomix bowl is add in there, I've got 330 grams of sugar. I'm actually using caster sugar. You don't want to use granulated sugar because the crystals are bigger, and caster sugar is much finer. Basically what it means is going to take longer for the sugar to dissolve into the meringue. But I'm going to take it one step further, because we can do with the Thermomix, and I'm going to get the Thermomix to turn this into more of a powder.
Is this a cookie dough recipe?
Not this one. There are lots of cookie dough recipes that you can follow, and hopefully from today's session you'll learn this kind of tips and tricks that will get you to understand why your meringue is weeping, or why it's cracking or sinking. So, but of course you can actually play this back and follow this recipe if you want. So 330 grams of caster sugar's gone in there. Sometimes what I will do is I will maybe put some caster sugar and some brown sugar if I want that lovely caramelized kind of flavour in my meringue.
So Izzy says, well, she's saying icing sugar can be used, but she puts a question mark after it. So I'm not sure what she's telling us or asking us.
No, so just be careful when you buy icing sugar in the shops. If you were a Thermomix owner, you would not be buying icing sugar. You would always be making it. But you get basically
That's it, buying icing sugar, eh?
You basically get two kinds of icing sugar. You get the pure icing sugar, which has nothing added, and then you get the soft icing sugar, which has basically caking agents, etc., because it doesn't then pack together like the pure does. So you're always better off to do your own, because we don't want things like all those additions.
So can't you use icing sugar?
No. So we're going to make our own. If it's pure icing sugar, you could use that if you needed to. But you're going to do this. You're going to just buy either granulated sugar, make it into caster sugar. So all I'm going to do here, I've got no idea what I've got that up there. Let's go back home. I'm just going to go for 15 seconds at speed number 9. But before I do that, little hack. It's going to create sugar dust in my kitchen, which I don't want. So I'm just going to take a piece of kitchen paper and plug the hole so we have less sugar dust. So 15 seconds at speed 9.
And a slab of wine.
So, just wait for a couple of seconds, but basically now what we've got is, see all that dust would have come into my kitchen.
Yeah, it's coming to your kitchen.
I know, but because normally what I would do is I wouldn't open the lid for about a minute, just to let that sugar dust settle. But have a look, see how super smooth and pure that sugar is now. So that's going to dissolve in our meringue really, really well. So I'm just going to park that to one side. And I'm now going to get another bowl, the benefits of having a second bowl. Now remember everybody, if you haven't been shopping in the mix shop already, we have a fabulous sale on 20% off store-wide. So if you haven't got a second bowl blaming lid, this is a great reason to go ahead and get one 20% off. Now, what you need to do is you need to make sure this is super duper dry, super duper clean. And one of the things that will stop your egg whites from whisking is fat. And it's very easy if you haven't cleaned it properly, just to have a little bit of fat left over. The kids have cleaned it or something like that. So what I always do is I will just get some vinegar, a little bit of kitchen paper.
So this is super duper clean, not just super clean.
It's super duper clean. You can do a vinegar wash. So cover the blades with water, just put a dollop of vinegar in there, and then do a universal wash, and that would be great. But I always just like to make sure it's squeaky clean, and I just go round with that vinegar paper. Now,
So that was just white vinegar?
Just white vinegar, so that's.
Could you use any vinegar? Could you use malt vinegar?
You can, but you really want to stick to white because when you start adding browny things into this, you're going to not have that beautiful white crisp meringue that we all try and end up having. So that's nice and super clean. What I'm going to do is add in my butterfly, and again I have wiped this with my vinegar cloth. I'm just popping that in place.
So Dorothy says hello from Perth, but she adds Perth, Western Australia. So thank you for the geography lesson there,
Is it too bad?
Dorothy. I don't know, there's another Perth in Australia, but she just made sure we understand that it's in Western Australia.
All right, so now I've added into here 8 egg whites. You can halve this quite happily. 8 egg whites. Now your egg whites need to be fresh and they need to be at room temperature. Now when you're actually separating the yolks from the white, it is best to do it when they're cold because they're much more stable. And definitely don't, crack them over a bowl of egg whites, because if you get any yolk in here, that's the protein, that's the fat, it's going to stop your egg whites from fluffing up. So you want room temperature egg whites. So basically if you take them out of the fridge half an hour before you need them, separate them while they're cold, and then just set them to one side for at least half an hour, and that should be fine for you to use. So the first step is, I've got my egg whites in there, and I'm going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar. I love that name, cream of tartar. So cream of tartar is basically an acid component, and that's going to help us to stabilize these egg whites. And the thing is, you can use other acids in here if you want to, lemon juice, etc. But remember, we don't want to be adding too much liquid into this mix. So it's more like a powdered form of an acid. Think of it like that.
What do you do with the yolks?
Oh, tons of things. My gosh. In fact, usually it's the other way around in this house. Usually I have loads of whites left. I'll tell you about that in a second. Let's get this going.
Gay asks, how much would 8 yolk? All right, sorry. I know it's a serious question, but how much would 8 egg whites weigh?
I've never done that. I have come across that, but I'm not sure. So I always use large eggs. Large eggs is what I always use in all my cooking. So here we're going to go, and what I want to do is...
You use the yolks to make chocolate salami? Are you serious?
Yes,
Is there something called chocolate salami?
Andrew, you would love that.
Chocolate salami?
It's not meaty.
Okay, we've now been told there's Perth in Tasmania. Of course, there's Perth in Scotland, so I take it back. Thank you for telling us it's about Western Australia.
Okay, so just to recap, 8 egg whites, room temperature, 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar, and I'm going to go for 5 minutes.
Chocolate salami.
There is, it's great. It's actually a cookie dough recipe. And I'm going to go at 37 degrees because you'll probably know if things are slightly warm, they're going to froth up and mix, rather if things are colder, it's going to take a little bit longer. So we've got a low temperature on the Thermomix. Let's use that, 37 degrees. And I just want to go at speed 3.5. And this is going to be the first stage. And we're going to create a nice soft peak in that. So what can we do with the egg yolks? Oh my goodness, what can't you do with egg yolks?
Chocolate salami, of course.
Chocolate salami. My go-to would be things like creme caramel.
Ice cream.
We love our creme caramels. Ice cream is my number one thing. So I've got 8 yolks. I'm going to be making a beautiful French vanilla ice cream later on, probably tomorrow, with those yolks. But there are really so many things. And you can actually also freeze egg yolks as well. So
Sabaglione. Sabaglione.
Which is a beautiful Italian dessert, absolutely gorgeous. But if you pop into cookie doing the search, let's have a little look. In the search feature, what you can actually do is, if I put in there egg yolks, see if I can spell it. Egg. Oh, let's go back again. You can hear that changing. Egg yolks. So here we come, there's loads of things now that come up that we are using egg yolks with. So avocado and egg yolk puree for little babies, yum. But there's going to be all sorts of recipes that you can use those egg yolks in. And lo and behold, here we've got a lovely honey ice cream. Oh my gosh, I love honey. I might give that a go. Sounds yum. So that's all good. Let's go back home. So, do you want to just have a little peek through the lid so everyone can see what's going on inside the Thermomix bowl? So we're whisking it up, and we're getting to that soft peak stage, so that's looking good. Another drink.
Come on, 2.5 minutes to go.
So the humidity is basically going to be absorbed by the sugar. So any extra moisture that's in the air will be absorbed by the sugar. And what happens is you will end up with little sugar drops, little bits of liquid sugar coming out underneath the meringue. And it could actually also collapse because there's no structure in the meringue, because that sugar is going to give it structure. So that's one of the downfalls of cooking a meringue on a day like this. So for my Christmas Pavlova, I always make that Boxing Day. I will make the meringue and then I will leave it in the oven overnight. So I make it in the evening, it takes an hour to cook, and then I will leave it in the oven with the door closed for 1 hour. And then what I'll do is I'll just open up the door very slightly, put a wooden spoon in there, and then just let that crisp up nicely. So that's going to be beautiful for the next day. The main thing is you don't want it to be introduced to humidity. If you've got that kind of an environment, pop it into a container so no air can get at it, and that will be absolutely fine. Getting there. Any more questions, Andrew?
Says Ruth Davison, says, I made a pav the other day in the Thermomix, but it didn't puff up. Still tasted amazing. What did I do wrong?
I love that question, thank you. You didn't take your meringue far enough, basically. You've got to make sure you're at that kind of stiff peak stage at the first stage. So it sounds to me, you follow a cookie dough recipe, and it can't take into account the environment. It can't take into account how cold your eggs are, etc. So you need to use your judgment. You've got to make sure, basically, I should be able to tip this bowl on top of my head, and those meringues will stay put. All right, that's great. I can now go on to that next stage. So that's kind of what you're looking for. All right. Now, if you like vanilla in your meringue, you can definitely add vanilla. So usually a teaspoon of vanilla. Remember, we don't want to introduce lots of liquids. I prefer not to. People generally introduce vanilla because they don't like that eggy taste. However, I don't really feel there is that eggy taste. And I'll talk more about that in a second. So let's have a look. So that 5 minutes is now up. So here we go. We have lovely fluffy meringue. That's what you're looking for. And if I turn that upside down...
Over your head. Over your head.
You can see that's all in place. So that's fine. It's ready now to have the sugar introduced into it. Right. So going back to that egginess, basically you could add some lemon zest if you wanted to add a taste, because the zest isn't a liquid, so we're cutting back on the liquid. If you are adding lemon zest, please make sure your lemon is super dry. You don't want to be introducing more moisture from the skin. But you could absolutely add vanilla. The main reason I don't is because I like a lovely white meringue, and if I start to add like brown sugar, or if I start to add in vanilla, I'm starting to change the colour, and you'll often see most homemakers with their meringues, there's a little bit of a brownie tinge to it, and those are some of the reasons. Okay, so here we go. We're now going to progress, and we are going to go again. I'm going to go for 5 minutes, 37 degrees at speed 3, so just slightly slower. And what I'm going to be doing is introducing a couple of other components. So I'm going to be introducing my sugar. Let's get this going first.
So when would you add the vanilla?
You can add the vanilla in now. And vanilla can go in now.
With the sugar?
Yeah, and with the vinegar, which I'm going to do in a second. So 5 minutes. 37 degrees and speed 3.
That's very proper from Elizabeth. Good evening, Colette. That's got to be it. Elizabeth Mary Burrett. Says, good evening, Colette.
Right, at this stage I'm just going to add in a tablespoon of corn flour. So I'm just going to add that in there slowly.
Why?
And the corn flour, I've done that bit there, and I'm going to add in a teaspoon of vinegar. I'll explain what these are doing. And then what I'm going to do very, very slowly is start to add in the sugar. Okay, so I'm just sprinkling it in, and I'm going in really, really slowly. So the reason I added in the corn flour is because corn flour absorbs moisture, and it will actually absorb a little bit of the moisture in the environment, but also any moisture, from the little bit of vinegar that I added. And the vinegar is what really creates that beautiful marshmallowy centre to that pavlova. So you want that beautiful pavlova, crisp on the outside, soft and marshmallowy on the inside. That's why you need the vinegar and why you need the corn flour. And cream of Tarta is going to give it stability.
So Leanne says, hello from New Zealand, bugger. I'm not too sure she's calling me bugger, or bugger, I missed the start of your video. Oh yes, I just saw the comment there. Hello from New Zealand. Bugger. I missed the start of your video.
Oh gosh. So look, you've got time. It doesn't matter if it goes slightly over, but you do want to go slowly. You don't want your meringue to collapse. So just sprinkle, nice and slow. And just a tablespoon at a time. I use a tablespoon so I can't go too fast. So where does it come from? Where does the pavlova come from?
Do you know the name Pavlova? The Pavlova sounds Russian, Czechoslovakian, sounds Eastern Bloc.
Well, there's lots of discrepancies over the ownership. Is it Aussie? Is it New Zealand?
Oh, really?
Is it European? So the first kind of record that we have is from the ballerina, whose surname was Pavlova, in 1926, I think. And a chef in Wellington made this special dessert for her. and that's really the first recorded. So I always say it's from New Zealand, and I think
Well, I think a lot of people are going to agree with you, New Zealand. New Zealand definitely. Oh,
very passionate with New Zealanders there.
Someone's very brave here saying Australia, of course, but I think you've been outnumbered, Helen.
So yeah, from there. But there have been records of a similar dish earlier in Europe, but it was a much crisper shell. It hasn't got that classic.
You have a vacherin in France, don't you?
You do. But the vacherin is basically a crisper. It doesn't have that marshmallowy element. It's meringue that is basically crisp and served with ice cream.
Just remind me, how much sugar did you mill in the beginning, please?
In total, I did 330. Now, I did a little bit less than normal because of the humidity, but 330 it works fine. I've done it quite a few times with this amount. But typically, for every egg, you would put about 55 grams of sugar in. So if you're doing 4 eggs, you'd have 220 grams of sugar going in.
I think you have to speak louder, you can't hear us in the machine.
Probably be croaky. So yeah, about 55 grams of sugar per egg. So if you were doing 4 eggs, you'd probably want to add about 225 grams of sugar.
So Tracy Butler's always good for a left field question in these lives. I can't even pronounce this. Do you have a recipe for dacquoise filling?
Filling?
Dacquoise filling.
I've done dacquoise before.
What the hell is it?
It's like a cold, beautiful dessert. It's lovely. One of those kind of cold, ice creamy kind of desserts.
Okay, 2 new words I've learnt today, or 3.
Dacquoise.
No, chocolate salami and dacquoise.
I like to make you the salami. It's a lovely recipe on cookie dough. It's really nice. Okay. Okay, so I haven't put all the sugar in, but that's fine. I'm not worried. Perfect. Right. Thank you. So basically our meringue now is done. And that is going to look lovely. So
now are these crispy or are these crispy and finished?
No, so these will be crispy on the outside
and marshmallow on the inside. Because I can't remember who they was. Someone said earlier on that their Thermomix Pavs were never crispy, but ours are crispy.
Excellent, crispy. All right, so here we go. My goodness, guys, look at that.
It's a monster. Look at that.
All right, so this recipe works. Remember, we don't do it on a humid day. So what's going to happen, I guarantee, when I cook this, I will have a few, not many, because I've compromised on certain things. I'll have a few little sugar crystals at the bottom, but not many. And it's just because of the humidity. There's nothing I can do about that, but it's going to look absolutely stunning. Now, you can either get a piece of baking paper and you can draw a circle on it. What I like to do is just use my Thermomix mat. I just find it easier. I like to go at around about the 18-inch mark, and all we're going to do is take this amazing Pavlova and start to pile it up here in the mat. So you can see you can get as much height as you want. It's beautiful, it's fluffy.
I just want to put my hands in it.
So this is, as I said, this would be a nice size for a Christmas day. It would comfortably serve about 12 people. And you see what I mean?
12 people?
Yeah.
With our 2 sons in this house?
This in our house, yeah. It would be about 5. Now, you can't freeze meringue, and well, you can, but it's not going to be very nice. And I'm just going to, just for speed, I'm not going to get the rest of this out. I'll do something later on.
I don't understand Michelle's comments. Luckily, I don't know where you live. What does that mean? Should you come and beat us up or something? What does it mean? What do you mean? You say people, I know where you live. Okay.
So a little tester with your sugar, which I should have mentioned, but I know I've made these so many times. Just with your fingers, rub it between, and you shouldn't feel any sugar at all, and that's good.
Can't feel any sugar at all.
If you feel sugar, just go for a minute more. Okay, a little small spatula. Okay, so now what you want to do is you just want to taste nice, Andy?
It's okay, it's good, yeah.
Meringue.
Yeah, meringue, yeah.
All right, you just want to create that meringue shape.
I'm thinking of the movie Ghost now. Can you get your hands around that?
And I had a few questions about how I got the sides like I did. So keep it nice and tall. And what you can see me doing, I'll try and start from over here, is you get your spatula, and I'm going underneath and I'm pulling it up. Underneath, pulling it up. And you can see those little lines starting. Okay, and that's what you want to do.
So Izzy says, Pavlova Xmas trees.
Yes.
What does that mean?
You can make little pavlovas and stack them up so they're shaped like a Christmas tree, big at the bottom,
okay,
smaller on top. So just all around. And just make sure you haven't got any gaps or anything in here. Just pulling it up. Take off the excess. I don't need the excess.
Izzy, is there a Polish equivalent of Pavlova? Sandy says, Christmas must agree with you, Colette. You're looking vibrant.
Vibrant? I feel knackered. It's horrible, this bugger I've got. It just won't go away. 3 weeks.
She went to Sydney on this Thermomix invitation trip, and she had a great time, but she brought back with her this flu, which of course, she's my wife and she's generous. She gave it to me.
Mm-hmm. But you recovered so quickly.
But mine lasted about 5 days. Colette's going on for 2 weeks now.
All right, so you just kind of play around with the shape until you're kind of happy with it. Just, creating those little rivets. And by doing this upward stroke, you're giving it more stability, so it shouldn't collapse on the oven. So this, you can see how nice and tall this is now. And that's lovely. And if you need to, you probably saw me just creating a little bit more space here in the middle to put our fruit and stuff like that. So there you go. That is the Pavlova. Now what I would do is just transfer this to a baking tray. You can lift it up, it's pretty easy going. I've just got my big cake slice, I tend to use that. Popping that underneath, picking it up and placing it on the tray. And you can actually just pop a little bit of underneath just to stop it from flying around.
Clever little tip.
Like that. And then what I would do with the extra pavlova, because I always do scrape some off, I would be putting on little dollops to create little pavlova nests.
Now, Ruth says you need big dosage of vitamin C, and I can enlighten you here, Ruth. Your body cannot store vitamin C, so it actually just goes all the way through you. It'll take a little bit out of whatever you eat, like some citrus fruits, but most of it just comes straight out the other end.
So you could use the rest to make some little kind of meringue nests, and you can break those up for eating mess and all that kind of stuff. Right, let's just talk about cooking this. So this will go in straight away. Oh, I haven't heated up, but my oven doesn't take very long. I do like to cook mine long and slow because I like the colour. I like it to be nice and white. So I put mine in 100 degrees. Now it is important, if you have got a conventional oven, use that setting. Because if you can imagine, if you're using a fan, the air is circulating and you're going to get hot spots and you're probably going to get some browning. With the convention, you've got heat from the bottom, heat from the top, and it's just constant, it's the same without the air floating around your pavlova. So that's the kind of oven that you'd have. So 100 degrees, and then once that's finished, just turn the oven off and leave it in the oven for about an hour. And as I said, I normally will just leave it in the oven overnight until I'm ready to decorate it, depending if I need the oven or not. If I do need the oven, I'll pop this all cooked into a seal, a container that's the air can't get to. What have I missed? Any other questions? What areas?
Josh says you need redox signalling molecules, called ASIA. Isn't redox what you put in your bathtub? That's Radox, isn't it? Radox, that's right, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So please have a go at meringue. I will actually just quickly write the steps up of this for you. So you've got that, so you can have a little go at this recipe if you want. But, you know, there are recipes on Cookie Do, and I'm sure they're going to be absolutely fabulous as well. They're all triple tested. But just remember, the big thing is the humidity.
So temperature again in the oven and time for cooking?
I go an hour, and I check it after an hour. It's 110 at conventional temperature. Sorry, 100 at conventional, and I go an hour. Then I check it, and the way I check it is I just tap it. I have got one that's a few days old.
You know, Claire's a little smarty pants because she has a camera. There's a camera in her oven, and so from her phone in her study, she can look at her Pavlova.
So I did make, this is a little bit old, but it will give you an idea. This was a brown sugar one I was playing around with. But I just want to show you, when you check it, you want to tap it. You want to make sure it's crispy on the outside. You won't be able to break it, but just to show you the consistency. See all that lovely marshmallow inside? How beautiful that is. And you can imagine this is going to be much bigger, and it will slice just beautiful.
Go on, give me some.
It is rather good.
Okay, that is good. And who says these pavs aren't crispy?
So, and if you give it a little tap, and it doesn't quite sound nice and crispy, just give another 10 more minutes, all right? So, again, you know, you're following recipes, but you do need to bring in your own judgment because environments are different, etc. You want more of that?
I do. You saw my body language.
And then, obviously, chantilly cream is normally what I fill it with, so that's going to be cream whipped up in your Thermomix. I'm assuming everyone knows how to whip cream. And then I always add in some icing sugar, just, you know, about a tablespoon of icing sugar and some vanilla, just to make it a bit more interesting. And then you can pop your fruit on top. And I always will serve it with a coulis. I love coulis, a raspberry coulis. And that's super easy to make as well in the Thermomix. Beautiful stuff. I think that's about it. Any other questions that we can think of while I'm here?
No, not really.
No? Okay. All right, so there you go. Have a go at your Pavlova. Absolutely beautiful. Remember, I'm a consultant. If you know anyone that wants a Thermomix, remember you've got until the 4th of December. And if your friend does get a Thermomix, it means you get the cutter for free, the exclusive cutter that we all so badly want. And at the moment, until the end of the month, you will actually get that extra bowl blade and lid. And you saw how handy that was for me today. And it will only cost you an extra $29. So it's a really great time to get your TM6. And I always think having a Thermomix before Christmas is fabulous because there's so much that you can make and have fun with. So give me a call. I'd love to look after you. I think that's it for now.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful evening. So nice to be on again and to see you again. I managed to survive.
Will this be on your blog or?
I'm not going to put it on my blog. I've got to focus on my ebook. You know, to put something on my blog, it's like another day gone, and I keep slipping that ebook away. But I will just quickly type up the recipe and pop it up on Facebook.
Well, people can see this video again, can I?
Yeah, you can watch back on this video at any time. But I'll just type up the recipe on Facebook tonight, so that will be there for you for the morning. So if you want to make this particular one, and you've seen it, it works, it's beautiful.
Are you going to show people when it's cooked?
Absolutely, yeah. So that'll be tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow when I decorate.
Those little Pavlovas are just so good.
Not much left, Andrew.
Well, it's just very crunchy on the outside, but the inside just soft and gooey marshmallow. Isn't that good?
It's nothingness, yeah. It's beautiful. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely, lovely evening. I will see you again real soon. Bye. Have fun in the kitchen.
You got people from Dubai. Goodbye.
Oh,
People from Dubai. You got people from Belgium.
Oh my gosh. That's wonderful.
And of course, Perth in Western Australia.
Yes.